everyone. Welcome back. This is Chris Ashley. It's really great to be back with you. I don't even know what episode number this is, maybe like 19 at this point. But it's been a little bit since I've recorded a podcast, and I'm just excited to get back to it. Just before I get started, a little bit of housekeeping. My book, Change Your Mind to Change Your Reality, is coming out super soon. The date's getting closer. I'm really excited. I'm not going to announce an official launch date yet, but just keep your eye out for some fresh news. And if you want, you can head over to changeyourmindtochangeyourreality.com and sign up for my newsletter. I will not spam you, but you will get a free gift that's going to help you create, design, manifest your dream life. And then you'll be on my newsletter list. So when my book is ready for pre-order, I can let you know. All right. So creaky chair. So in honor of my book coming out soon, I wanted to spend today kind of giving an overview about it. And it encompasses a lot, right? It talks about your health. It talks about forgiveness. It talks about resiliency. It talks about another way to view reality. But it kind of, these things are seemingly unrelated, but they all come back to a common theme. And that is that if you can change your mind about the way that you view events of your past and your current circumstances, then you can completely change your reality. You can change your mind to change your reality is the title. And you can change the way that the outside world appears to you. And that's like a pretty radical statement. Maybe not, there's a lot of books out there on the law of attraction. This one's a little bit different. Mostly because I ask you to consider things that might seem really foreign to you at first. And I help you change your mind in every single corner of your life by giving you an alternative way to look at every single thing that's happened. So let's dive into it. And who knows, maybe eventually this will become my TED Talk, right? But let's get to it. So have you ever had the experience of someone from a younger generation asking you what something is? So I have had that experience. I was cleaning out an old room in my aunt's house several years back. And one of my cousin's kids was there, and she was kind of helping us. And, a lot of family was around. And we found this old floppy disk in like the back corner of a closet. And my cousin and I were like, that's hilarious. I haven't seen one of these in a while, like a floppy disk. And her little daughter, who was probably like 8 at the time, was like, is that a toy? And in her mind, she obviously didn't know what a floppy disk was, right? That was way before her generation. But she has been on the computer a lot, and she knows what the save icon looks like. And in her mind, she was like, that's the save icon. That is a 3D replica of something that she has seen in 2D. And so because of that, her mind immediately went to, that must be a toy, right? It must be a toy, like you would have a toy computer, right? For your doll or whatever. And, we all kind of had a laugh about it and explained to her what a floppy disk was. But it really got me thinking. So here's the question. Is that object a floppy disk like it was to my cousin and I, or is it a toy like it was to my cousin's child? And before you answer, let me give you a third option. What about civilizations who have never even seen a computer before? What might they think it is other than a toy or a disk? Because there are civilizations that exist that have never seen a computer before. So, the question is it a toy? Is it a disk? Or is it something else entirely? And the answer is it's none of the above. It's not a toy. It's not a disk. It's the object itself is neutral. Okay. We place meaning and a label on top of the object based on our past experience with the object. or our past experience with something similar. And the moral of the story is everything from objects to circumstances and situations to things that people say to you, things that people do to you, these are all neutral, okay? You place meaning on top of things based on your past experience, based on the lens through which you view the world. Now, your lens is made up of everything you've gone through in your past, right? The kids who made fun of you on the playground, the adults who, told you to stop running and yelling when you were playing, the television, your boss, your crush that rejected you. All of these things help to form your lens. And the opinions of the adults that you grew up around really, really influenced your own opinion, your own belief system, your own lens. So when you see something happen, you see it, you don't see it objectively. You see it through your own filter. And your filter is made up of all of those things that I just said and so much more. And 500 people can see the same different thing from 500 different angles, different filters. And that's why witnesses are so unreliable, right? Because everyone remembers things through the lens that they view the world through. Now, your inner world creates your outer world. So if you believe the world is a scary place, a cruel place, an unfair place, that is what you are going to project onto the world. That's the filter that you're going to view everything through. If you think that the world is a kind and a just and a peaceful and harmonic place, that's the filter that you're going to view everything through. Your lens helps to define the reality you see around you. Your inner world creates your outer world. And from your lens, you also form a belief system, right? And that also acts as a filter. And same as your lens, your belief system is created by all of your past experiences, but mostly what you were taught as a child, right? Because, if you think about it as a child, we were born into this world and we very quickly learned the rules of the world, right? We learned about money. We learned about education. We learned about government. We learned about fear. We learned about religion. We learned about right from wrong. We learned all of these things. That's not like a natural human instinct, right? How baby birds can fly, right? They're born with the ability to fly. They just have to learn. This is not the same kind of thing. These are learned opinions. And all of this also serves to form your ego. Now, your ego is kind of like the computer software that comes with being human. The truth is that you are a vast, powerful being, okay? You are a part of source. You are a spiritual being having a human experience for this short period on earth. But the ego doesn't see that. The ego thinks that you are a body and you are a mind. And so it runs programs based on fear to help protect your body and your mind because it thinks that's how it's going to keep you safe. It thinks if you don't leave your comfort zone and grow, you're going to stay safe, right? It's going to keep you in this safe, confined place. But getting outside of your comfort zone and growing, that's how you expand. That's how you grow. That's how you learn. That's where you have experiences, right? The comfort zone is where dreams go to die, so they say. And you are this spiritual being having an earthly experience right now. And you have a body and you have a mind, but you are not your body or your mind. It's kind of like you've been dropped into a video game world where you get an avatar, right? Your body, and you see out the avatar's eyes, but you are not the avatar. And the mind is like the computer that controls the avatar, but you're not that computer either. You are something ancient and sacred and universal that sits behind that mind, that computer, and controls that avatar. So how does this all relate back to that floppy disk that I found with my cousin? Well, like I said before, situations, circumstances, things that happen to you are all neutral, and you place meaning on top of them. You decide whether they're good or bad, right or wrong, depending on all of these things that you've gone through in your past, and your belief system, and your ego, and your lens, right? And the ego feels fear. The ego judges. The ego places blame. The ego likes to play the victim. The ego is the cynic, the realist, right? And when you believe that part of yourself, you only see the world through a very limited perspective. And then because of that, you have a limited amount of choices available to you. We can get so steadfast in our beliefs, right? We think our way is correct and everyone else's way is wrong. But if you change your mind, change your set of beliefs, change the lens you look through the world with, then you can improve your health, your relationships, your peace of mind. You can craft your dream life. You have unlimited potential out in front of you because you are a powerful creator, right? You are working with the universe, the quantum field, and you can call into your life anything that you desire. But when you identify with the ego and someone insults you or verbally attacks you or physically attacks you or tries to humiliate you or shame you, when you are operating from the place of an ego, what do? You get defensive. You either go into fight, flight, or freeze. Your heart starts racing. Adrenaline starts pumping through your body, probably cortisol from stress. And you might play the victim. You might blame the other person. And you start to create stories in your head, right? Stories that are probably based on your opinion, your assumptions, because you don't have the full picture. But if you take a step back, you might realize that no one's really out to get you in the sense that you think they are, right? Even if they are saying things that are like harming, trying to like purposefully harm you, they're coming from a place of their own fear, their own pain. They are making their own assumptions. They are looking through the world with their own lens, and they aren't really worried about you, right? They are just worried about their own stuff, their own shit, right? But you're just worried about you because you're focused on yourself, right? You're in your ego mind. And so you're just thinking about how it affects you and how they're hurting you and how you're being attacked and how this is unjust and unfair. But what if you decided to change your mind at that pivotal point where you could respond or react? Or if you become masterful, not even have to respond and learn to just let things go, let things roll off, not let things affect you. Because everything that happens to you is neutral. You get to decide if it is traumatizing or triggering or not a big deal at all. You can decide that something helped you learn and grow, or you can decide that something hurt you and was unfair and you need to fight against it. But whatever you get emotional about, whatever you fight against, it's kind of like the Facebook algorithm, the way the universe works. It's like, oh, this is what you like. This is what you're interested in. I'm going to send you more of that. So you're just going to manifest more of that into your life. The way to learn and really grow and really get peace of mind out of a situation is to learn to just let things go. And to be able to start to see things from other people's perspective, to know that, if someone is spewing their poison at you of anger, of jealousy, of hate, of rage, of wanting revenge, whatever it is, that says so much more about who that person is as a person than who you are. That is that person coming from a place of fear and pain. And the analogy I like to give is imagine that you're hearing meows in your backyard and you go out and you see this black and white cat and you go to pet the cat and it arches its back and it hisses at you and swats at you. And your immediate knee-jerk reaction is, that's a mean cat, because you're seeing this tip of the iceberg, right? You're not seeing the full picture. You're not seeing the lens through which that cat views the world. But if you stay and really allow yourself to see that cat, you might see that it's bleeding and its leg is injured. And then if you really stay, you might notice 4 little tiny black and white kittens hidden in the corner behind it with their eyes still closed. And suddenly your lens turns from one of judgment or fear to one of empathy and compassion and concern. Because you're like, this is a mother cat that's injured and she's trying to protect these little babies, right? And you could do the same thing for the people in your life. Now, we spend so much time wrapped up in other people's opinions. And, you know, it was Napoleon Hill that said, opinions are the cheapest commodities on earth, right? We can't let ourselves be swayed by other people's opinions because they are coming from their own lens, their own story. Instead, put yourself out there, follow your own path, follow your own purpose and passion in life. Try to not get so wrapped up in what other people are thinking. Because again, anytime someone is lashing out at you, they are coming from a place of their own fear and their own pain. They are being triggered by something. And triggers are just mirrors, right? They show you where you still have healing to do. They are a reflection back to you. Because if you had already resolved that particular issue, you wouldn't be so emotionally charged or triggered by its reflection back to you. People who still have a lot of healing to do find offense in pretty much anything another person says or does. Once you are healed, you realize that what other people say and do has absolutely nothing to do with you. And when we really take the time to look at what makes us upset and us triggered, we often find out that it's not even the event in front of our faces. So many times there is some deeper hurt that's underlying all of that stuff going on the surface. And David Hawkins talks about this in Letting Go, The Pathway of Surrender, which is a great book. I highly recommend it. He says that people with repressed emotions are like pressure cookers, where they're constantly just looking for reasons to vent steam into the world so that they don't blow over. Basically, we're not angry because things trigger us. Things trigger us because we're already angry. And there's a word for this in psychology, and it's called displacement. And if you are on social media at all, you probably know that there is this phenomenon sweeping the nation called cancel culture. And it's kind of like the modern day angry mob with pitchforks, right? Where whole groups of people become triggered and lash out and attack other people, usually from the safe anonymity of behind their keyboards or phones. And they target another person and lash out at them, right? And it's even more wild because people who weren't even triggered in the first place can get wrapped up in this thought form of energy. And if you're not familiar with the thought form of energy, kind of think of like this like cloud, right? When people become so angry about the same thing, that's energy, right? Emotions are energy. And that energy, that emotion starts to take on a life of its own, and it picks up other people in its path, and it becomes this big, dark, angry cloud whirling around on its own, and pretty soon it just loses control, right? Or people lose control of it. And people can get so swept up in it, and then it becomes hard to make a different choice and step away from it. And that's what happens with cancel culture, right? People get so wrapped up in it. They're like, oh, it's trendy or cool to just hate on this thing, to hate on this person. But they're misstepping all of these people involved in cancel culture because they're missing out on the chance to show compassion, to show empathy for their fellow human beings, to have an empathetic conversation rather than emotional reaction. They are appointing themselves judge and placing blame on another. And they're spewing their poison onto this other person. And then with the sole intention of causing them harm, by the way. And then they lie to themselves, right? They justify their own actions, the pain that they have caused, by telling themselves that that other person deserved their punishment, deserved their poison, and that they got the proper punishment for their wrongdoing. But of course, this is not true. This is ego that wants to place blame. This is ego that wants to feel like the victim. This is ego that assigns yourself as the judge. Because the way that we heal a sick society is not by attacking the outside world. You can't control the outside world through force. The way that you heal a sick society is by first healing yourself. And then that light that you have inside of you, you are raising in consciousness. You are putting that healing out into the collective consciousness, into the quantum field. And your environment and the world is going to see that, and it's going to rise up to meet you at that new level of consciousness. And then you get to offer everyone else a helping hand to come up to your level, right? You get to inspire people by how healed you've become, by how forgiving and kind you are, right? You can't force anyone to change by insulting them. And this is why I really recommend never saying that you're triggered. Don't claim the feeling of being triggered yourself, because not only are you playing the victim and playing small when you do this, but you're giving your power away. If you are constantly blaming other people and outside events for your suffering, you are never going to step into your own power and change the circumstances of your life. And the law of attraction is real. What you put out into the world, into the universe, is what you're going to get more of. So by claiming that you're triggered and feeling like the victim, you are going to get more circumstances sent your way that make you feel victimized and make you feel triggered. So instead, you get to make a different choice. View your triggers as teachers. And instead of lashing out at the outside world for triggering you, start to work on healing the part of you that was triggered in the first place. Because by claiming you're triggered, what you really want is the outside world to change and accommodate your feelings. But you're not responsible for the outside world. You are responsible for your own actions. And like I said, change happens from within. And when you especially go at someone aggressively and tell them that they're triggering you, all you're going to get is a defensive reaction, right? That's like psychology 101. And so you're not going to get the result that you wanted in the first place. So instead, step into your power, do the inner work and heal, and then you will see that change reflected in your outside environment. Now, I'll let you in on a little secret right now. Not everyone is going to resonate with you. Not everyone is going to love you. Not everyone is even going to like you or say nice things about you. But you can't be driven by the what ifs. I personally think it's way scarier to be driven by the what if nots. Like, what if I don't step into my power? What if I don't take control of my life? What if I don't follow my dreams because I'm scared of other people's opinions? What if I don't follow my dreams because I'm scared of failure or afraid that people aren't going to love me if I follow my dreams? Like, you don't want to be on your deathbed at 100 years old and regret not living the life that you wanted to because of what other people might have thought. And it can be scary to put yourself out there and follow your dreams. And I don't want to lie to you. The more successful you become, the more other people are going to try to tear you down, because if they see you flourishing and changing, it reminds them that they're not flourishing and changing. And they come from a place of their own pain and their own fear. And it makes them feel more significant to attack you and try to bring you down. And by the way, this doesn't even have to happen with people in your own life. It could be people that you've never even met, who haven't ever talked to you, who don't know anything about you other than what you've shared. And we have all seen internet trolls out there, so we know that this is true. The more successful you become, the more rejection that you risk. But again, this is from people coming from their own pain and their own fear. You need to stand firmly in your truth that you know how you're showing up for others. And a big part of it is because people make assumptions, right? They have a limited amount of knowledge about you. And so they fill in those knowledge gaps by making assumptions about you, and then they create stories in their heads. And they let these stories fester and build up until they have a chance to vent their own poison, their own insecurities, their own jealousies, their own anger, their own guilt, whatever it is, onto you. But remember, you are just someone that they can project that onto. This has nothing to do with you and everything to do with them. And if someone is attacking your character or insulting you in some kind of way, it's really important to think about like who that person is. Like, are they someone whose opinion you value? And, are they someone who's like rational and level-headed and just in a calm, collected way giving you feedback or criticism? Or are they someone whose opinion you don't even value anyway, and they are emotionally lashing out at you and spewing their poison? And if it's the latter, then they are not worth your time of day. And we need to just take a step back and learn that failure is feedback, right? Every situation, every heartbreak in life, every adversity you go through contains within it a hidden Easter egg. And once you find that Easter egg, you get to level up, right? You get to unlock growth and lessons if you want to, right? Like everything that happens in life gives you the opportunity to grow. You get to just decide if you want to grow, right? Because you can forgive and get better, or you can hold on to resentment and get bitter. One of those makes you less conscious. One of those makes you more conscious, more expanded, and more healed. And it's really about having your boundaries up, right? Setting proper boundaries for yourself so that these outside forces don't affect you, don't take away your peace of mind. And figuring out what part of the work is about you and what part of the work is for the other people. And the part that's for you is to decide if you're going to respond or react, and then to figure out where you go from here, to figure out what's next. What's the next step you can take? What's something that you can change? How can you use these opportunities to grow? But it's never about punishing yourself, right? And karma is going to take care of that other person. And I don't mean like karma, like they get punished or they get their legs broken or whatever it is. Basically, everyone is here to learn specific lessons. That's why their soul is reincarnated here on earth. Like, we're all here to learn how to use the law of attraction, but we each have like different lessons on our soul path that we've figured out with our spirit guides before we've incarnated. And if someone didn't learn a lesson in this lifetime, then in their next lifetime, they will be put into a circumstance or situation that will give them the opportunity to learn that lesson and grow. And it's not necessarily about punishment. I mean, it's never about punishment. It's not because you're never judged for anything you do on the other side. Okay. You are loved unconditionally just for being and existing, but you do get these opportunities to grow. So for an abused victim who abuses and victimizes others, they need to learn how to stop that cycle and how to heal themselves. Right? It's shifting the way that you look at other people, because a lot of times people that hurt others are hurting really bad themselves, especially people that do terrible things to others, like murderers and rapists. They have like a gaping hole in their soul, right? They feel lost. They feel frustrated. They feel broken. They feel lonely. They feel confused. They feel angry. They feel hurt. And so they need to heal so that they can break that cycle. But you are not a victim. You are not a victim of oppression. You are not a victim of other people. You are not a victim of your outside circumstances. My book and my teachings are meant to empower you. And you are a creator. Okay, you create the reality that you live in. If you look around and you see a pained, sick, tormented world, then that is what you are going to create. And oftentimes it means that you have some pain inside of you. If you look around and you see a peaceful, loving world, then you are at peace with yourself. You're loving yourself and you're feeling love. You're in the vibration, in the frequency of love. You are responsible for your own reality. No one else is. And sometimes hearing that you create your own reality is a tough pill to swallow, right? People kind of balk at that idea. They look around and they say, but there's sexism, there's racism, there's government control, there's inequalities, there's homelessness and disease and poverty, and history is filled with wars and genocides. And they look at their family tree and they look at their own life and they call out all the injustices, right? But like every family tree has a story and every person has a story too. Like my own family, many family members were slaughtered during the Holocaust. But you have to remember that we are powerful beings from the stars. We are incarnated here to have an experience as a human being. And what we're experiencing right here, right now on Earth is not the real, true reality. It's kind of like we've been dropped into a video game world, right? A veil lowers before our eyes and we forget all that is real, because it wouldn't be a real learning experience if we could remember what it was we were supposed to learn. And all of these things that we see around us are the stage setting of a play. They are man-made concepts, and they are not the true reality. They are a projection of our mind. Life is kind of like a movie happening around you that you control in real time. Like the world wouldn't happen regardless of what's going on with you. You control the outside world. And none of these societal rules are real either. It's just something that we have all agreed to. Now, in Hinduism, they call the world Maya, which means illusion, because they understand that the world is a projection, a dream lowered before our eyes like a veil. Now, Maya has the power to create a bondage to this empirical world and stop you from becoming your true cosmic self. So ISKCON Education Services explains it well. I want to quote this because I love it. Under Maya's influence, the Atman, which is the soul, mistakenly identifies with the body. He accepts such thoughts as I am white and I am a man, or this is my house, my country, and my religion. Thus, the illusion soul identifies with the temporary body and everything connected to it, such as race, gender, family, nation, bank balance, and sectarian religion. So we can get so attached to this illusion, and we've appointed ourselves judge and victim for so long that sometimes it's hard to break away from this because we get really comfortable here. And we get so comfortable with suffering even. Think about that. We get so comfortable with suffering, ego gets so comfortable with suffering that sometimes we don't really want to change. And you can look out into the world and find a million reasons, a million excuses to be angry. A million excuses to cast blame, a million excuses and reasons to be the victim, but you're not going to find a good reason to suffer. And you always have a choice. You get to decide what you look at. You get to decide the lens that you view things through. You get to decide what importance and what meaning you assign to certain things. All right. My name is Chris Ashley. Thank you so much. This went off in a completely different direction, but I'm not mad at it. Follow me for more. Please hit the subscribe button, share my videos, share my podcast. It means a lot. My book is coming out soon called Change Your Mind to Change Your Reality. And I look forward to more discussions. Take care.